And we are live, Mr. Matthew, at the River House.
Good morning, Mr. Edan Smith.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the fifth to last show that we've ever done.
Is it?
Well, the fifth last show. Remember a long time ago, we
Oh.
said we were going to do our last show, and we were kind of pulling everybody's leg, and here we are still again, you know.
You know what I like is we've got an angel between us just here floating around.
Right.
I really like that.
All
That's
right,
good.
I do too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody. And today's radio show, we've got a few things to go through with you. First of all, where are we?
And we're at the River House in Boulder, Colorado.
Great. And how much preparation have we done?
Absolutely none, Matthew.
Right, we can authenticate.
We can authenticate that, yes.
No preparation.
No preparation.
Okay.
We have no idea what we're going to talk about.
No.
And just to bring our audience up to speed, but just in case we have a new listener today or a new
Okay.
viewer, you know,
Okay.
we've grown perhaps our audience from 6 and we're moving to 7. Just in
Okay.
case we have that new person, what we do, Matthew, is we have a deck of tarot cards. 81 cards here in the deck. Today, Ganesh sits over.
Thank you, Miranda.
Remover of the obstacles, and we randomly draw a card, and then we are bound, Matthew, absolutely bound to speak about what that card suggests. Well, let's remind everybody who this show is brought to you by.
Who's it bought by?
Lovelingo.com. LUVLINGO. We are launching a new company here out of the River House as a part of our compassionate economy, and we've taken, like this t-shirt here says, "Be like you,"
Yep.
right? And on the back it says,
Who else can?
"Who else can?" So
Be yourself.
that's right. Be yourself. We have these compassionate messages, Love Lingo, and we believe, Matthew, that we have the responsibility to be the architects of a new consciousness simply by changing the way people feel and believe. And if we can add a little bit of that through provocative,
Gentle provocative.
gently provocative messages, just to...
We're drawing a card.
All
Okay,
right,
let's
drawing
not
the
knock the
card.
table. The table's been knocked. Okay,
Oh, that's right. We want to do that.
that's it. We need to be a little bit careful with the table.
I'm going from the underside.
All right, okay.
All right, you
The
ready for
underside.
this? The big... Look at that. It's the rebirth card, Matthew.
Oh, renewal.
The rebirth. And this is so interesting based on some conversations you and I have had lately
Yeah.
about death.
And yeah.
And death and renewal. The death is really part of the cycle of life. You know, it's
Absolutely.
not an ending, right? Yeah.
Rebirth. So the rebirth, the spirit of renewal, it's not necessarily about actual death, but it's actually about moving from old paradigms into new paradigms and being supported in letting go of those old paradigms and allowing new paradigms to come forward, right? That's what rebirth's all about.
It is. And sometimes we have to break our own heart, Matthew. Well, look, so how many times have we been not in the flow
I'm actually
of life?
speechless.
You're not in the flow of life, or somebody's giving you trouble, or a situation is getting trouble, and you've got to have the courage really to go inside and feel deeply in here. Because as soon as you let go internally, you can have a rebirth.
Let go, Callum.
Let's back up a little bit into a new space, which would invite people to look at what are the symptoms that happen when rebirth is imminent.
That's a great question. I love that question.
Like what is happening in someone's life that would cause them to do what you're saying?
Yes.
To examine their belief systems,
Yes.
to let go of belief systems, to let go of emotion. That kind
Yes.
of thing. What brings a person into that stage of life?
Good question.
And are we, if we can expand it to the macro level,
Yeah.
going through that on a geopolitical sort of cultural?
There's no doubt about it. The world's
Yeah.
changing. So what we're talking about are universal principles of polarity. So we're talking about polarity being part of that rebirth experience where we are experiencing, to your point.
Expansion.
Thank you. Back to quantum
It's-
mechanics. Okay.
So an expansion causes rebirth.
Ooh.
So even as simple as going, taking a big deep breath in, holding it in the chest, and expanding the energy. Everybody do that with me right now. Expanding, hold the breath, expand the energy in the heart, open the chest, and then let go. There it is. There's an expansion, Matthew. I feel better already.
So do I. Congratulations. We're all rebirth. Thanks for tuning in. Show's over. Okay. Great.
Wow. Moving, fast. And we've created incredible technology. We've created incredible industry. We've incredible things all around us now. And how can we slow down and enjoy it?
That's a great
And
question.
help more people to do that? Because
Why don't we ask the audience?
that's a great...
What do
I
you
guess
ask
we
the
are
audience?
asking the audience.
What's
How do we come to, if we all came to do it together? How do together we unify in some way that makes for a more holistic society? What are the things that we, individually first?
I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts, audience? Yeah, yeah.
See, we're slowing down right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's really nice, actually.
It's beautiful.
Breathe 1111 app,
Mm-hmm.
the Time for Compassion app.
Mm-hmm.
What do you basically talk about that Time for Compassion application that you're launching next year?
Yeah, we have a new phone app coming out, and the phone app is called Time for Compassion. And what it'll do is it will notify you at 4:44 every single day with a little beautiful chime, or a gong or some kind of sound like that. And it'll say,
Okay.
Time for Compassion. It's 4:44. Pause,
Dog medicine.
notice,
Mm-hmm.
and respond.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that for a second. So this is such a great segue. Thank you, Matthew. So,
Thank you.
Right. And so at 4:44, you get a chime. It reminds you. It's like, okay, I'm gonna pause now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna notice. I'm gonna look out in my world, and then to what I notice at. If I notice that I'm feeling a little tense, then I'll respond to that by taking a walk. Or if I notice that someone can't get across the street in the snow with their groceries, I'll respond to that. So one act of compassion is and so God, imagine, Matthew, if when the app goes out and hundreds of thousands of people in each time zone have this app, and all of a sudden at the same time everybody gets this chime, they all pause and they notice what's their environment, whether it's interpersonal or whether it's in the world, and they respond to it. Could we make a shift?
So I like that. So
Yeah.
first of all, is that it won't be at the same time because it'll be global.
Well, I'm saying, but in each time zone,
Right.
so it's like going around the earth, this wave of
That's
compassion.
right, and that was my point. That was my point.
I
You
like
designed
that.
it so that there's a wave of compassion
A
around
wave.
the world.
I've never seen that
Yeah,
before.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, thank you very much for those loves. So this is beautiful. I love this idea of stopping at 4:44, no matter where you are, and just allowing a self-nurturing moment to happen for a minute. It might be looking out on a beautiful landscape. It might be going for a walk. It might be just be sitting outside.
It might be as simple
It might be having a sleep.
as taking a breath.
Yeah, or even taking a breath.
Right. What's interesting about 4:44, Matthew, is that it's right at the end of most people's workday.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right?
That's really good. I like that. End of everybody's workday. That's
20-something years ago, I was awoken at 4:44 a.m. in a start, like, wah! And that afternoon, after a full day of travel, I read a newspaper about a new book that had come out called The Messengers, and about how the angels were communicating with humanity through the code 444. Now, what a coincidence. You think about that. I was really the camel. I was asleep at that time of my life. This was early on in my development spiritually, to be awoken at 4:44, and then to read in the paper about a new how angels are communicating, and then reading that book, and now 20-something years later presenting an application at 4:44 to bring people to a place of awareness is really an amazing way that when we slow down and allow, to Matthew's point, rebirth to happen, that these great ideas about how we can participate in the world come to us. We have this collective idea that the faster we run and the harder we work and the more that we do is going to guide us into something that's going to be fulfilling, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's the okay. So now I've got something to say. Thank you for that. So
Glad to be of service.
well, thank you. So the first of all, I think this idea of a global wave of compassion at 4:44 in no matter what time zone is really quite exceptional, actually.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of people, so we as humans have finite energy, and that's what they call the I will man, right?
I will, man.
Right, which is about me as a person using my energy to drive forward, right? But the I am man, which we or the I am lady or the I am person,
Not a business person, but an isness person.
yes, isness. The I am person is connected into this soft, gentle, nurturing space of infinite quantum energy, at which point then manifestation energy in our lives flows much easier. And
How
we
exciting
don't drain
is
us.
that?
We don't drain ourselves. This is the secret to old age, actually, and vitality. And so your 444 compassion, self-nurturing stuff,
It's ours.
ours, okay, this gift will enable us to remember the I am and to basically get back into that soft, nurturing source space, and then just allow that to release into our lives. At which point, then we're kind of flowing in a much easier.
And we can have the individual and collective rebirths that we require to step into the new phase of our human development.
Exactly. There we are.
Right.
Okay. there's something
Because
else. Right.
you and I both agree on one thing, Matthew.
Only one?
I think. I'm not sure. But
Okay.
at least this one thing. We can build on this.
Okay.
We firmly believe deep in our being that because we have the technology and the resources and the food and the everything we need to make sure that each person on this planet has a safe place to sleep, right to education, a square meal every single day,
Access to nature.
access to nature, that we're to share in all of those experiences, then we would have a vastly different society
Yes.
today, one of greater compassion and whatnot. And that's the vision that we are individually and collectively holding and looking for the steps to take to realize. See, we try to do that. My question back to you would be, why do we fear rebirth?
I don't.
Not you.
Oh, sorry.
Most people, everything they can to avoid to feel pain. And what we're really talking about is a willingness to get hurt.
That's a very profound point.
Well, if you had the willingness to be hurt, and you got hurt, and your heart broke, and you didn't resist that, wouldn't it be over quicker?
Yeah, and the pain is actually an alchemy into release and joy.
It's a cleansing agent, and it's a natural
Cleansing
order
agent,
of this entire thing. But we've built society and structure, and even the way we design our buildings and the streets are all in straight lines and everything. We've taken the natural order away from it, so we can get in these boxed arenas in life.
Yeah.
You know, just going to the grocery store, going to school, standing in line. You know, doing all these things, watching television exactly 7 o'clock. I mean, all these things that we just are normal of this culture start to box us in and start to package our consciousness and change the vibration of this vehicle that we're in, and it's not in alignment with the natural order of things. So the natural order of things has no other recourse but to disturb this vehicle to bring it back in alignment, because from everything is perfect.
So right. So
Only we're out of perfection.
all right.
So, do you know who Napoleon Hill is?
Is it out of Mission Impossible?
Napoleon Hill wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. Came out in the
Oh, okay.
40s and 50s, and he's a pioneer that a lot of self-help people are standing on the shoulders of. Tony Robbins, a lot of people like that. But his book was called Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. And the thinking and the consciousness that created the Industrial Revolution, that gave us what we have today, was a human mind oriented faculty.
It was the logical brain.
Right. And so what we can't understand when we're stepping into a new consciousness is how that new consciousness really works. And it's really not about what I want anymore. It's what is wanted for my life.
Yep.
And that's a totally different question. So the law of attraction, the way that most people teach it, has a reflection of the industrial age,
Absolutely.
which is go get what you want. And that's not what it is. What's already happening for the natural perfection of your spiritual journey is you're attracting already everything. It's already happening. And anytime you use willpower to try to get what you think you want, you're working against the very law that's trying to enlighten you in the first place.
So that's beautiful, and I thank you for sharing that. And I'm just mindful of how the universe came into being. Someone spoke it. They didn't work it. They didn't build a factory. You know, they didn't have a big shipping and value chain proposition. They just said, "I'll tell you what, let there be life," and bang, off came the universe.
So come on, we have everything to take care of people and give them the opportunity. You know, this is a time that is not about I. We have this incredible gift of life. You and I grew up fairly privileged. We live in Boulder. It is our responsibility, I feel, to make this a better world in any way, shape, form we can. We have come to the place in understanding in ourselves and have our hearts aligned to a certain point that our requirements to thrive are being taken care of, and we know that. It doesn't matter how much money we have in the bank. It doesn't matter anything. Once you open the heart and live a compassionate life, you recognize that the wealth that is inherent in every human being has nothing to do with a checkbook or a bank account.
I agree.
Yeah, and so when you get to that place,
You can't
or at
take
least
it
you
with
start
you.
to scratch it, you recognize it's not something you can put in your pocket. You can't measure it on a bill, anything, and so you share it because that is the natural order of things. That is the natural. That's consciousness emerging.
Yeah.
We're feeling it, experiencing from one side. Scientists are studying it and looking at it from the other side.
Yeah.
But the truth is, those sides are coming together into an integration of masculine and feminine, right brain, left brain, so that there is simply one.
Yeah, I love it.
Back to the warden here. We are our own wardens. We can break that. We can have a rebirth out of thinking that has gotten rigid. We can have a rebirth out of the stagnation that we feel in life. We can have a rebirth in our own marriage, in our own family, in our own relationships around us. We can have that. It's our responsibility. Nobody's going to give it to us.
Love it.
You know?
Love it. That's great.
So, do you know why?
Blimey, I'm exhausted. This
Well,
is really good.
Yeah. So do you know why these companies spend billions of dollars on advertising, Matthew?
I can give you some answers, but I want to hear your answer.
Well, quite simply, it works. Think about it.
Yeah.
You got all these people that's screaming at a television on Saturday and Sunday, all drinking very similar kinds of beer that really isn't very good beer, Matthew.
No.
So what happens is an advertiser wants to get into your mind to a certain degree that automatically, without thought about nothing, you have an idea all of a sudden that you're going to stop by the beer store and buy a certain beer and go sit in front of a certain television on a certain day. Advertisers know how to drive behavior by entering your subconscious mind.
Of course they do.
They do, right? And so how they do that is, just to take a gross example, you have a man who is got hormones for a sexual relationship with a woman or whatever, and so they've got the cheerleaders over there doing their thing. And what happens in that moment is this person looking at the cheerleader opens their subconscious mind. They're like, and meanwhile they're getting this image, this logo of all these people having fun drinking this certain beer. And it goes into their thing and it programs them. We are programmed people, and it's easy to fool the masses. It's so easy. So here's to my point.
I'm listening.
Actually, let's say when you and I and the Miranda and this River House community and the people that know us, I began working with this idea that success is compassion, that compassion is the new economy a long time ago. What if people started to believe that success was compassion, and just on an internal level, that somehow they got the message encoded into their mind, encoded the thing that actually what success really is compassion.
Don't you have a statement? Compassion is now in fashion.
Compassion is now in fashion.
Are you saying the biggest obstacle in rebirth is ourselves?
It's the only obstacle.
It's the only obstacle.
Yeah.
We are the only obstacle in rebirth. I love that. And consciousness isn't there to force us into something horrid. It's about giving us that life fulfilled that we're deeply asking in our core being, in our hearts.
The most important belief system to have if you're having a difficult time. Whatever you've got to believe is that there's help for me if I can open up and have a rebirth. That rebirth is possible for me, for anyone.
I've kind of been in mode and allowing you to talk,
We've
which is
been
great.
reborn, Matthew. That's what happened. We've been reborn, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be with these people. And we just want to thank you for being here and encourage us. Share the videos. And
lovelingo.com
and also go to our website and look at the website. We are birthing a small micro example of what a larger compassionate economy.
It's an accelerator of compassion, accelerator of compassionate entrepreneurs, accelerator of the compassionate economy with the app.
And you know what's not true, Matthew? Well, what is true?
What's that?
Well, you can't buy a compassionate economy.
Love it.
You cannot buy it.
So cool.
It's so impossible. Boy, everybody's
that.
looking to buy themselves into a certain societal status, or to get a certain money part of it together. If we're all helping one another and we're all recognizing the gift in one another, that's something that money can't buy. It's simply a way of being, and when we're in that way of being with enough people, consciousness will recognize and alchemize, and therefore attuned to a new economy for all people to get what they all want. It has no other recourse, but it's up to us. It's not going to happen. Their consciousness, the divine, is ready for it. All we have to do individually is a rebirth of ourselves into a new compassionate economy, and that's what we're inviting you into.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your wisdom today. You've done. I'm glad that you shared a lot of what you've been working on and kind of your thoughts, and I think it's been really quite useful. Thank you.
You know what's interesting? I think if we were to go back and people were to look at my journey, much to Hunt Warner's point, it would be frightening to some people. Like, wow, what is the changes that guy's going through? And I think if there's a message to this whole thing is, oh my gosh, what a fantastic world we live in.
Same.
Are you kidding? It's like we're running around looking at our smartphones and watching football on the air. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
People are dying of alcoholism and not enough food, and there aren't enough homes. Are you kidding me? We have the capacity, Matthew, to right the ship.
So
It all started with $8.25 and a dream.
what a start. Can you imagine the keynote now? $8.25 changed the world. It's like, what?
And funny, it wasn't $8 bills, because then we couldn't use the word change. It's $8 and change the world.
That's so clever. I love that. Yeah, this guy's pretty smart, actually.
You know what the truth is I'm not smart unto myself. I have allowed something to come through me.
Yeah.
And that is the trick, is to give away
I love that.
own I'm smart, I'm clever. Get rid of the cleverness and let the divine intelligence come through you.
Yeah, because we're all in equality in intelligence.
And then all of a sudden you become like you. You are like you. You're so unbelievably like you that the universe has no other recourse, Matthew, but to shower you with blessings and abundance. And when that happens, then you have no other recourse than to give back to everything and just become cause. And so we're looking to develop people of cause. That's what the economy is. People that recognize that it's not about me getting anything. It's only about me being a conduit for the divine.
I love that. That's beautiful. So basically, before we finish, we basically come up with a life, the universe, and everything. And the whole purpose of your existence is to be like you.
Is to be like you.
And by the way, the whole of the universe is supporting you to be like you.
Be like you. Because you know what? No one else can.
No. Yeah. And the other thing about the compassionate economy is that it's not a transaction-based system. So in this system, we've been taught, in the current system, is transaction-based. You do something and I get rewarded, or whatever that may be. I give you an exchange, right? But the compassionate economy is from an infinite resources. There's no need to trade anymore. It's not transaction. It just naturally wants to give. And I think part of rebirth is being able to receive.
Yes.
Particularly for men. Being able to receive.
Particularly for men. Let's go back to this transaction thing, because I think we can even uptick the language one point.
Okay, let's do that.
It can be transactional. It's not conditional. In other words, you're not necessarily having to do X to get Y.
Yes.
We can open up to the Z axis.
Oh, I remember the Z axis.
The Z axis.
Yeah.
The Z axis is so much fun.
And how many people get trapped in this karma paradigm that there is an unlimited amount of abundance in the compassionate economy?
Yeah.
And it's liberating. And there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong.
The rules don't work the same way.
That's the Z-axis.
We have the Z-axis that we're playing with.
I can see why you're speaking more today. He's far more clarity than I am. It's this bloody stone that's got me going. Right, okay.
So, to boil the whole thing down, have a rebirth and be like you.
Thank you. Moment to moment.
Moment to moment.
A big thanks to MysterE for stepping in and giving us some
Mr.
wisdom.
Matthew as well.
Brilliant stuff,
All right,
mate.
thank you.
Namaste, everybody.
Namaste, everybody. Pleasure.
Enjoy your rebirths.
Uh-huh.
Be like you.
Be like you.